Welcome to NodeSource's complete guide on integrating AWS into NSolid. NodeSource provides robust serverless support, allowing you to collect crucial data during your requests. This functionality is essential for debugging latency problems and optimizing your operations, allowing you to have a considerable range of metrics about your serverless application, ensuring efficiency and low cost in your projects. Firstly, make sure that you have the AWS SDK credentials set up on your machine. This is crucial for seamless integration and data collection. In the description of this video, we'll link to the documentation where you can learn how to set up AWS environment variables. With your AWS credentials set up on your machine, we will now install the NSolid package focused on serverless. To do this, simply type npm ifng at nodesource/nsolid serverless. Our CLI is comprised of a few commands. To check them, you can type nsolid serverless --help. Here you will see detailed documentation of all the commands that our CLI supports, starting with the infrastructure command, which will install, update, or uninstall the cloud resources that are responsible for collecting the metrics of your functions. Secondly, our functions command, which will install, update, and uninstall the functions that will be monitored in your NSolid console. And lastly, the remove command, where we'll remove all the features and settings created by this tool. For each feature, we have install, uninstall, and update commands. And for each of these commands, optionally, we have the parameters of region, staging, tracing, and the name patterns of your functions. With our CLI installed, it's time to install the necessary infrastructure inside AWS. To do this, we're going to type nsolid serverless infra install, and we're going to hit enter. Then it will begin asking you some questions, such as at what stage you want to deploy the entire infrastructure required for monitoring your Lambda functions. Let's work with the dev pattern. Shortly after, we question which region you wish to deploy these resources. Then we begin installing them on your AWS account. Once everything is set up, you will be able to see a queue created within Amazon SQS with the name nsolid serverless metrics. This queue is responsible for storing all the metrics collected in your Lambda functions. Once our SQS queue is configured in AWS, we will now begin installing the settings on each of our functions. For this, you just type nsolid serverless functions. Here we will have a questionnaire very similar to the one we had in the previous command, asking at what stage we want to apply these changes, which region we wish to apply this change, and if we want to add and enable tracing or not. For example purposes, let's enable it. The last question is about which functions you want to monitor. The first option, we can specify the name or a regex pattern of the name of that function or those functions we want to monitor. The second option, we will specify a text file containing all the names of the functions we want to monitor. And finally, if we would like to apply monitoring to all functions. For this demo, we're just going to apply it to a few specific functions, nsolid AWS demo. And we're going to hit enter. And here he found 3 functions and applied the changes to all of them. To ensure that all settings have been correctly applied, we can check the lambdas specified in our CLI. The first configuration is about the monitoring layer we use to gather metrics from your Lambda, and the second is the environment variables, where you can set your log level, the queue where you want to send these metrics, and whether or not you want to enable tracing. After having set up our function, we are going to copy the address of our SQS queue and then access our NSolid console, go to Settings, Integrations, and within AWS SQS integration, we are going to create a new integration. Provide the name and the URL of our queue. For the purpose of our example, the integration will be named AWS Demo, and here we will paste the address of our queue. Let's save our integration, and now we will return to the Monitoring tab. Here, you can already see the number of functions being monitored now. By clicking, we can see all functions being monitored with the number of invocations, the number of errors, duration, average memory used, estimated costs, and the sum of cold starts. Still in this view, you can search for specific functions and sort them by name in ascending or descending order. By clicking on a particular function name, you will be redirected to the dashboard with all available metrics, including real-time metrics, CloudWatch metrics, and metrics about the modules installed on your Lambda. Moreover, you can see the version of the runtime your Lambda is running on, along with the version of NSolid region and the server's architecture type. We'll also have information about vulnerabilities and the estimated cost of your function, as well as the tracings of that application, and an SBOOM, which can be exported to JSON and PDF, where you will view a summary report of all the vulnerabilities you have in your application. Talking more about our metrics, we have several metrics such as invocation, maximum memory used, the number of errors you have in your Lambda, the duration in which each request takes to be executed, in addition to several other metrics such as the bytes produced, latency, among several other metrics. Just click through and you'll see the results plotted here below. If you want to filter on a specific period, you can view the date in the calendar, select the dates or the time frame you want to filter. In Solid, your journey to better serverless application performance and security starts here.